It's just extremely frustrating, and you can come up with all sorts of words to describe it, but you're obviously disappointed, but that doesn't help anything. Hey, we'll have a concerted effort in the off-season, don't worry, about 17 other clubs will as well.
A frustrated coach, Brad Scott, Caro, and we'll get Matthew's thoughts obviously as well. It's been a big demise for Essendon in the last month, and there's enormous frustration among the supporter group.
Yeah, and I think if there's frustration from Brad Scott and clearly enormous disappointment, and he's been looking increasingly disappointed in recent weeks with some losses that could have gone either way, and just, the club could be second if 2 or 3 of them had been wins. I think there's frustration around that, not so much the supporter group, but just the high-profile supporter groups, the influences at the club.
Again.
And
Every year we talk about this,
but I think there was frustration mid-year that don't get too excited because we're not that good. And now it's like, well, don't think it's all doom and gloom, because maybe have we been a lot worse in the second half of the season than the first half of the season?
They've lost 4 games to teams 12 and under, which you brought attention to tonight on.
Yeah, but they haven't been... Look, they should have won on the weekend. They threw that game away in the last quarter. But Gold Coast were pretty good up until 3/4 time. I think there's real frustration. I still think there are cultural problems at Essendon, Matthew. What's your view?
Yeah, well, they were up again. They kept 1 goal 9. They had Gold Coast on toast. They had the Adelaide Crows on toast 3 or 4 weeks ago as well. So,
where does the blame sit? Like, recruiting's been well analysed and it hasn't been good enough. But what's the heart of what's going on?
I still think they lack killer instinct, which
Where's the
great
edge?
teams have. Where's the edge? Well, I even say after Zach Merritt came, who would just say, I want to... Durham's improved, but he's still making his way in the game. So I think they lack a strong core senior playing group that take you places and take you deep, and they get you winning game after game after game and consistency. And then the kids... I just touched on some of them. I don't think they're tough enough.
No, and Brad's got to. So Brad's role in that is he's got to start to weed those out. And there's some that he should be prepared to give up on, and certainly some that you're questioning.
Nick Cox been a whipping boy over the weekend, or is that fair?
No, that's been fair, because and I can see why he was a top 10 pick, because he burst on the scene. He's 200 centimetres. He's athletic, kicks both feet. And you go, wow, this guy can be anything. And I got sucked in. This guy can be anything. But honestly, I'm ready to give up. You can't not. You can't go off with a concussion for an incident like this. I know...
Well, hang on, it's not his...
Hutchie,
look at his decision.
Hutchie, where's the concussion? Where's the concussion? So let's have a look at this.
Well, doctors choose concussions, not players.
Let's have a look at this incident again. If you can't cope and cop a hit like this, which is going to happen to you once again...
But players don't decide their own concussions.
So maybe your makeup isn't to play AFL football, Hutchie. Where is the head knock there? Where is it?
Well, you don't know what happened on the post-camera on the way down there.
I do, because I've watched it 20 times. I'm just saying, I understand the sensitivities around head knocks, but if you're an AFL footballer...
You can't say to the doctor, hey, I'm not... I can't argue
But what I can say is, if you cannot absorb a hit like that, and if that hit and that force results in a concussion, that's going to happen to you once again.
I mean, head knocks are different.
Well, that may be, but I'm just calling as I see it. That is going to happen repeatedly. And if you're going to not be able to cop that hit... regardless of whether it's a concussion, you're more prone to concussion than others, and that may be the case. But that's going to happen to him repeatedly, and maybe your body's not made for it to play the game if you have to go off as a result of a hit like that.
You said some of the kids weren't tough enough. Which ones?
Oh, I think that man, Nick Cox, I don't think he fights hard enough or scraps hard enough. I think Jones, he's playing him as a tall winger. I still think he needs to fight and scrap harder. Archie Perkins is another one that I just don't think... fights for his life enough. Sardis is another one that plays in the second. So again, that's just not on them. That's on Brad Scott, and that's on the senior players, and that's on the club.
Yeah, and it's on the likes of Redmond and Mackay and players like that as well. They're not aggressive enough at the moment either.
They're playing poor as well. Yeah.